Have you ever had one of those dreams? The kind that feels incredibly real, so vivid you wake up thinking, wait, was that actually a message?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe, experience one of those sudden shifts in luck, good or bad, that just feels fated somehow.
Exactly. And what if those dreams aren't just like symbolic brain noise, but actual predictions,
Hmm.
holding the key to what's about to happen?
Yeah, someone's immediate future. Or maybe lack of one.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a really old story. It gives us this fascinating window into foresight, into consequences, and just how complex human relationships can be.
And it all kicks off in, of all places, a prison cell.
Right. We're looking at excerpts from Joseph Interprets Dreams for Pharaoh's Servants.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly packed with stuff that still feels relevant.
Absolutely. So our mission here really is to unpack this story. It's about two pretty high-ranking officials who have this fateful run-in with a very unlikely dream interpreter.
And hopefully we can pull out some insights, some nuggets of wisdom about, well, perception, how justice works or doesn't, and memory. That tricky thing, human memory.
It's a story that definitely gets you thinking about human nature.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. You've got the chief butler and the chief baker. These aren't small roles. They're serving Pharaoh himself. Big deals in Egyptian society.
Right at the top.
And then, bam, their world just collapses. They've ticked off the boss, the king of Egypt. The text says Pharaoh was wroth against them.
Which basically means he was seriously, seriously angry. Livid.
And just like that, these guys who were, pouring the king's wine, baking his bread, they find themselves thrown in ward in the house of the captain of the guard.
Basically prison. And it's the same place where Joseph is already locked up.
The irony is pretty thick there, isn't it?
Yeah.
These high-status guys are now prisoners, and Joseph, who's already been there, is actually assigned to look after them. It says he was charged with them.
Yeah, he served them. Talk about a power shift. A complete reversal. So they're in there for what the text calls a season in ward. So, some amount of time passes.
Right, not just overnight.
And then something really troubling happens. Both of them, the butler and the baker, they have these intense dreams. Each man his dream in one night.
Okay.
And when Joseph checks on them in the morning, he sees they look awful. Just sad is the word used.
Understandable, I guess. Stuck in prison, having bad dreams.
Exactly. And their big lament, the thing they tell Joseph is, we have dreamed a dream and there is no interpreter of it. They're stuck with these visions they can't make sense of.
Ah, so they're feeling helpless? Powerless, even though they used to be powerful.
Precisely. That powerlessness is key. They've got these pressing questions from their own minds, their own dreams, and zero answers.
And this is where Joseph, the guy already stuck in the pit, he steps up.
Mm-hmm.
And what he says is pretty remarkable, isn't it? He cuts right through their despair. He asks them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you.
Yeah, that line is crucial. It tells you so much about how he sees his role.
Right. He's not puffing out his chest saying, oh, I can tell you.
Not at all. He's not claiming to be a magician or anything. It's more like he's saying, look, this understanding, it comes from a higher source.
So he's like a channel, a conduit.
Exactly. A conduit for a kind of insight that's beyond just human cleverness. It's actually quite humble, but it's also incredibly confident,
Yeah, builds trust, I imagine. He's pointing away from himself.
Right, and it subtly highlights these different kinds of power in this story. You've got Pharaoh's political power, the official's lost status, and Joseph's, spiritual insight. Very different things.
Okay, so the chief butler decides to go first. Maybe he figures, what have I got to lose?
Seems likely. Desperation can do that.
He tells his dream. In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. It had 3 branches. They budded, blossomed, grapes ripened.
Very vivid imagery. Life, growth.
Right. And he says, Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. And I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. It sounds like his old job.
It does, and Joseph's interpretation. It's incredibly specific, and for the butler, it's fantastic news.
Okay, what does he say?
He says, the 3 branches are 3 days. Simple enough. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee unto thy place.
Lift up his head.
Huh.
Sounds good in this context.
Yes, here it means elevation, restoration. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner when thou wast his butler. Basically, you're getting your job back exactly as it was in 3 days.
Wow. That's pretty clear.
Very. But then Joseph adds something else, a personal plea.
Oh, yeah.
He says, But think on me when it shall be well with thee. Remember me when you're back on top, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house.
He asks for help. Makes sense. He's stuck there unfairly.
Right. He even explains, for indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon.
He's making his case. Innocent man. Needs a word put in for him.
That's quite a moment.
Yeah.
Putting his own hope in the hands of this guy he just helped.
Mm-hmm. And seeing this positive interpretation, you can imagine the chief baker thinking, okay, maybe my dream is good news too.
Yeah, hope is contagious, right? So the baker jumps in.
Eagerly, yeah. He says, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head.
Okay, 3 again. Baskets this time.
And in the uppermost basket, there was of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh. So fancy baked goods for the king, similar theme, providing for Pharaoh.
Well, there's usually a but.
There he is.
Yeah.
And the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head.
Oh, birds eating the food meant for Pharaoh right off his head? That doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't. It feels ominous, and Joseph's interpretation confirms that gut feeling. It's pretty grim.
Oh, boy. He tells him, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Same time frame.
Okay.
Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head. Uh-oh. Same phrase as before.
But it sounds different now.
Entirely different. Lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee.
Whoa. That is brutal.
Wow.
And incredibly specific again.
Stark, isn't it? That phrase, lift up thy head, becomes chillingly literal. It's the complete opposite of the butler's restoration.
So same situation, basically. Both offended Pharaoh, both in prison, both have dreams.
Both interpreted by Joseph. But the outcomes couldn't be more different. One lives, one dies.
It really shows you maybe how arbitrary justice could be back then. Or maybe there were details about their offenses we don't know.
Could be either. Maybe it was just Pharaoh's whim. Maybe one offense was seen as way worse. We don't get those details. But the contrast in fates foretold like this is stark.
Okay, so Joseph has laid it all out. Now we wait for the 3 days.
Exactly. And the source says it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday.
A significant day, a feast day.
Right. Pharaoh made a feast unto all his servants, and on that day he reviewed the cases. He lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants.
Using that same phrase again?
Mm-hmm. And it plays out exactly as Joseph said. He restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand.
Back in his old job, just like the dream.
Just like the dream. But, the text says starkly, he hanged the chief baker.
Wow. The birds and everything.
The interpretation was precise. Birds eating the flesh from the tree. It happened. The 2 men who shared that prison cell, shared that night of dreams, shared that interpreter, met totally opposite fates.
One restored after the former manner, the other gone. It's almost instantaneous proof of Joseph's ability, isn't it?
Undeniable proof, you'd think. Right there, immediate confirmation.
Which brings us to the part that honestly always gets me about this story, the final line.
Ah, yes, the twist.
It's just, it hits hard. After all that, after Joseph saved the butler's life, basically, and asked him for that one small favor.
What happens?
Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
He just forgot.
Forgot. The guy who told him exactly how he'd get out of prison and back into Pharaoh's good graces. The guy who explicitly asked, hey, when things are good, remember me. Put in a good word.
Out of sight, out of mind. It's kind of shocking, isn't it?
It really is. You'd think saving your neck, that earns a bit more loyalty or memory than that.
Well, it raises huge questions about, human nature, gratitude, obligation, convenience.
Convenience, yeah.
Hey.
Maybe it just wasn't convenient for the butler to bring up some Hebrew prisoner right after getting back into Pharaoh's favor.
That's a very real possibility. Rocking the boat so soon. Maybe he thought, well, I'll get around to it, and then just didn't. Or maybe the relief of being free just overshadowed everything else.
The trauma of prison forgotten, the promise made within it also forgotten.
Could be. It's a really sobering look at how easily even profound debts can be pushed aside when life gets comfortable again.
So looking back at the whole thing, this ancient story, it really packs a punch, doesn't it?
It does. You see how perception shifts? These powerful men suddenly vulnerable because of dreams.
Yeah. And you see justice, or maybe fate, playing out in such unpredictable ways. Same crime, seemingly, but such drastically different consequences all foretold.
And then there's that final gut punch about memory. Or, the failure of memory. When someone who owes you big time just blanks.
Right, so it makes you think, doesn't it? What does this say about us, about people?
Why do we forget, even when the proof, the help received was so clear, so undeniable, what makes gratitude so fragile sometimes?
Maybe fear. Fear of getting involved, fear of reminding the powerful of unpleasant times, self-preservation.
Perhaps, or just the sheer busyness of life once you're back in the swing of things. The prisoner becomes an abstraction again.
And it also makes you reflect on justice, right? Joseph's freedom depended entirely on this one guy remembering him. His fate was tied to someone else's action or inaction.
Absolutely. It highlights how often our own paths, maybe our own search for fairness or recognition, can depend on others keeping their word, on them remembering.
Yeah. How often does someone's future hang on whether they get mentioned to Pharaoh, so to speak? Depends on someone else taking that small step.
It's a question worth sitting with, I think. How reliable are those human connections, those promises made in dark times, when the lights come back on?
Definitely something to chew on.